Hi, welcome to Michaela Minkler Secondary Math and Science. I'm so excited to have you. This free guided notes is going to go over rounding. This is technically a fifth grade TEK, but I find that my sixth graders often forget how to round when they are asked to, and I have needed to review this skill in my sixth grade math classroom, as well as my science classroom when we're doing measurements with density and our physics unit when we do labs and we're measuring things, they don't remember how to round. So this is a really important skill that I constantly have to go over. So I thought I would make a video and a guided notes just to review that skill. So the first thing we need to go over when we're talking about rounding is we need to go over place value. So I often have to remind students about place value. These are kind of the common ones that we see. We don't see too big of numbers in science and not too big of numbers in math. So I am just going to go over, we have the thousands place, hundreds, tens, ones, and this is kind of where they forget. After the decimal point, we have the tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Next is the 10,000s. We don't often see numbers that we have to round past that because we don't really deal with irrational numbers yet. But you can go over farther place values if you want to. So often we are asked to round to the nearest tenth or hundredths, which I will go back and fix this typo. Make sure that's not in there for your freebie. So the nearest tenths are hundredths. So what we need to look at is we need to look at the place value to the right of the one you want to round to. So for example, if you're asked to round to the nearest tenths, then you need to look at this number. This number is going to help you decide what to do. So if the number in that place value is 5 or more, you raise the score. That means the number in the place value you're rounding to goes up by 1. So for example, if you have 3.68, this number right here is 5 or more. So that means this number is going to go up by 1. So I would round to 3.7. If you're rounding to the hundredths place, say we have 3.684, this is this next one. If the number in the place value is 4 or less, you let it rest. That means the number in the place value you're rounding to stays the same. So if I look at this number, it's 4 or less. So let it rest. This stays the same. So I round this to 3.68. So there are some situations where you may have, for example, 1.98, and I'm asked to round to the nearest tenth. I look here, I'm going to raise the score, but you can't put a 10 here in this place value. You only can put one digit in that place number. So if this goes up to 10, this actually ends up being a whole number. So I round this to 2.0. All right, so let's look at these examples. I have 56.861. It says round to the nearest tenth. So I look at the hundredths place. This is 5 or more, raise the score. So this is 56.9. Round to the nearest hundredth, I look at the thousandths place. This is 4 or less. Let it rest. So this is 67.73. Round to the nearest tenth, I look at the hundredths place. This is where we have that situation where it goes up and I round to 8.0. All right, feel free to pause the video at this time and try to do these on your own, and then you can go back and check with me. So this says round to the nearest tenths place. I look at the hundredths. This is for less, let it rest. So 45.2. Round to the nearest tenths place. I look at the hundredths. 4 less, let it rest. 1.9. Round to the nearest hundredths, look at the thousandths. 5 or more, raise the score. This goes up to 10, which makes this go up to 10. So this just rounds to 1.0. Round to the nearest tenths. I look at the hundredths place. 5 or more, raise the score. 3.6. Round to the nearest tenths. Look at the hundredths place. 5 or more, raise the score. 4.7. Round to the nearest hundredths place. Look at the thousandths. 4 or less, let it rest. 18.76. Round to the nearest hundredths. Look at the thousandths place. 5 or more, raise the score. So this goes up to 9. So 4.9. Round to the nearest tenths. So 5 or more, raise the score. This goes up to 10. So this goes 6.0. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this rounding review freebie video. All my sixth grade math guided notes have videos on YouTube that go with them. These are so helpful when you want to do flipped classroom and work with a small group and have maybe a lesson that maybe not as difficult, doesn't need as much guidance from you, that students can watch the video, take notes. Maybe your particular students are really self-driven and self-paced. Or maybe you have a student that is absent and missed the lesson. Then they can go back and watch this video, take the notes. They can do it from home. They can do it in the classroom. You can post these notes in the video on Google Classroom. In my sixth grade classroom, I would create a notes packet for each unit. And so the students just had the whole packet for the whole unit. And then they could take notes from there, and they knew if they were absent, it was their responsibility to go back, watch the video, and then if they still had questions, then they could ask me. Well, I appreciate you watching, and I look forward to sending out more emails. I hope you really enjoyed this freebie.